guys, my name is Raneé Bartley and I am the tasting room manager here at Bluestone. And so today we're going to be going through the Sweet Flight wine and chocolate pairings that we have for you all. And as we have done in years past, Warfels Chocolates has provided us with the chocolates again. And so we'll go through each one and tell you a little bit about what you can expect with the chocolates with the pairings. Some of these pairings you might have seen before and some of them might be new. And so let's get started. And so during each pairing, you all should have received a box. If you're watching this, if you haven't received your box and you're doing the pairing, you might want to go get your box. The Sweet Flights will be in the ones with the pink ribbon. So let's get started. I always love the packaging for these. Elaine from Warfels Chocolates does an incredible job with the packaging each year for us. So let's get started. So the first one, of course, with the sweet wines, we normally start a little bit on the lighter side and less sweet, and then we'll work our way to the sweeter wines as we go. So we're gonna start with Beau. And Beau, of course, is our semi-sweet white. It is a blend of Vidal Blanc and Traminette, and it's only about 3% residual sugar, so it's just a really lightly sweet wine. It's very light, very easygoing, especially in the summertime. It's one that you can just kind of sip on and, you know, on the porch or this and that. So it's not an overly sweet wine. And with this one, we decided to pair our milk chocolate, or the milk chocolate toffee from Warfels. And so with milk chocolate, kind of like Beau, it's very mild, very easygoing. So let's go ahead and get started with that pairing. I always love the smell of Beau. It's just very pleasant. You get a little bit of the Traminette from it, but it's just overall just a really light, lovely wine. And so we have our toffee. So with this one, the Beau, the little bit of the sweetness in the Beau brings out a little bit more creaminess from the milk chocolate, and also with that toffee as well. And so this one, again, is just a really great start. It's very light, not too overwhelming. So our next pairing that we're gonna do is kind of a fan favorite. This one every year, especially with our wine and chocolate pairing party, this one always gets very high marks. This is our Crooked and Weedy, our semi-sweet red, paired with the chili chocolate. So this is probably one of my favorite examples of opposites attract type of pairing. The semi-sweetness of the Crooked and Weedy offsets the little bit of spiciness that you get from the chili chocolate. And just to give y'all a heads up, it's not overly spicy, so I don't want anybody to worry. But you do get a little bit of a kick to it. And I love this one too because it's in like a little 4 square, so that way you can kind of break them off easily. And one of the things that I forgot to mention when we were talking about Beau and even in the earlier parts is one of the best ways that I have found for me personally when I do pairings like this is to take a little sip of the wine and then to take a bite of the chocolate and then to sip the wine again. So that way you get a feel for the wine by itself. But then you also get then that feel for how the chocolate, or you know, even in an instance of food pairings, how the wine and, for in this case, the chocolate work with each other. And again, our Crooked and Weedy are semi-sweet red. It's not an overly sweet red. This is the only red we do chill. So it does have a nice balance to it, to kind of with that sweetness and whatnot. I take a sip of the wine. Wait for it. Wait for it. There it is. There's that little bit of a kick I was telling you about. And then that Crooked and Weedy just mellows it right out. So that one's one of my favorite pairings. And so our next pairing, so we're gonna move on to our Moscato. So going back to a white. And so for this one, whoop, wrong one. That's blue ice. We'll get to that one in a minute. So we're gonna move on to our Moscato. And so Moscato, this is our sweetest wine that we make. It is about 8% residual sugar, but it's not overly sweet. It's not super syrupy or sugary or anything like that. So with our Moscato, this one, we do have a dark chocolate with it. This one is going to be the salty log. And just to give you all a heads up, when you all are doing this, the last two pairings are dark chocolate. The Moscato pairing is with the salty log, and then the blue ice is with the dark chocolate pretzel rod. You will be able to tell a difference because the salty log, of course, has a little sea salt on it. The pretzel rod does not. So just to give you all a little heads up for that. Let's give this a little taste. And I love the way the Moscato smells. Again, it's not like ones that you find in a grocery store that they're just overly sweet and just, yeah, they're overly sweet. This one it's full of fruit, full of those peach notes and things like that. And again, this is also one of our estate grown wines. Now I gotta make sure I get the right one. Salty log. There we go. And this always takes a minute, so bear with me. Yeah, there's something with the caramel and the sweetness that they really complement each other. And again, the sweetness also complements some of that little bit of darker chocolate, as opposed to maybe doing this with either a white chocolate or a milk chocolate. The dark chocolate, especially with some of these sweeter wines, just has a really nice balance to it. So for our last pairing for the sweet flight, for the wine and chocolate pairing this year, we are going to be doing the blue ice and finishing out with that. And so our blue ice is also another estate grown wine. We use Traminette with this one. And some of you may remember in previous vintages, this one has been the sweetest wine that we usually have. This vintage is a little bit different. This one is only about 6% residual sugar, so it's actually a little bit less sweet than what the Moscato is. But the alcohol is a little bit higher. This one is in the high 13%, 13.4%. So it is definitely going to be on that higher side. But this one does have a little bit more texture to it whenever you sip on it, and you'll see what I mean whenever you taste it for yourself. And for this particular one, we are going to be finishing out with the dark chocolate pretzel rod. And so this one is kind of another one of those other opposite type pairings. You know, with the sweetness, even though it's not as sweet, it still has a good level of sweetness to it. And then pairing it with more of that saltiness from the pretzel itself, and also just a little bit of the way that with the dark chocolate, how it works with it. And with the blue ice, there is a little bit, you can just see that really gold color. It's a beautiful color. It is a little bit, again, richer, a little bit more texture on the palate than some of the other ones. I really just love the nose on this one. This one just, it smells really, really good. And again, the dark chocolate pretzel rod is the one without sea salt. And especially with a little bit of the crunchiness from the pretzel inside the chocolate as well. And just adds that little bit of extra flavoring to it. So that is what I have for you all for this year's sweet wine and chocolate pairing flight. Thank you all so much for joining us and for following along with this pairing this year. And we hope to see you all again very soon. Cheers.